We're on our Loving Parent series, and tonight we are doing our fourth role of the loving parent. And I thought this was fun to do because, one, I haven't done it in probably close to a year, and two, it's really okay if you aren't practicing ACA 12 steps. I think there's so much of 12 steps that is applicable to every human on the planet. You do not have to come from an addicted family to qualify. What supports the theme of ACA is what's called emotional sobriety. And loving parent is one of the techniques or tools that is used in order to release the past, the things that were put on me that I didn't ask for and don't belong to me, and figure out how to not figure out, cultivate a life that allows me to live without deficit. So just because my parents didn't have it to give to me doesn't mean I have to live the rest of my life without whatever those resources were. And of the loving parent, nurture, guide, love, and protect are the four roles that a loving parent fulfills. So tonight we're going to talk about love. And what I find as a recovering codependent and ACAer is it is still 20 years in easier for me to talk about what love is not. To me, in my current adult state and where I am in my own recovery, to me, love is energetic. It's a frequency. It's not just one thing. So I want to start with talking about what love is not, because oftentimes what makes our relationships dysfunctional as adults is because we didn't get one of these four things, or some of these four things, or all of these four things from our parents as kids. Again, not about blame and fault, just about fact. So first of all, as I'm developing this concept, I want you to think about, what does love mean to you? How do you show love? How do you receive love? And what are the different relationships that love shows up in? Oh, I can already tell this is going to be a deep one. For example, I love my husband, and it is not the same love that I have for my children. It is a different type of love. And the love that I have for Cooper is not the same love that I have for Finn. I can't use up all my love on one kid. And I found this in my recovery journey really interesting to explore, and also very confusing. Because I was raised in a home where it was really important that everything was equal. Think about that for a second. I'm the youngest of four kids. And I don't know about you guys, if you have children, even if they're fur babies, none of them are the same. There is not a creature on this planet that needs the exact same thing as another creature, whether that is a human or a fur baby. Willow is not the same as Piper. If you don't know them, that's my Bernie Doodles. So being able to look at, while it was all of my mom's really, really good intentions, trying to make it equal between four different humans meant that it wasn't fair to any of us. So just think about that for a second. It becomes transactional. And when I talk about love, the reason that it's easier for me to talk about what it isn't is number one, I do believe my mom loves me deeply and did love me deeply. And there's a difference in parenting and, um, sorry, I lost my train of thought. There's a difference in showing love as a parent and surviving in codependency. So in codependency, it feels very transactional. Codependency is not love. Codependency is a relationship language. And what makes it feel like love is that we do it in excess. So I'm overly responsible. I'm overly functioning. I'm a perfectionist. I pay a lot of attention to detail. Um, um, what is it that some people will say? I'm drowning in it. When I think of love, it is not with strings attached. It is not conditional. It is not transactional, meaning while I love my boys more and more every day, it is not the same as the love that I have for my husband, where we're building more and more trust every day. Our relationship evolves, and I'm sure I do love my boys more today than I did when they were born, but it doesn't feel like it. Like the more I'm attached to them, the longer I want to be around them. But love and thinking about how does love show up and what does it mean is not used to change behavior. I piss a lot of people off when I say every behavior serves a purpose. Codependency serves a purpose. Love is not a behavior, it's a frequency. It's a form of connection. So if codependency is a relationship language and we're developing the discrepancy and the difference in love, those are the biggest things that stand out to me is codependency is transactional, codependency is conditional, and oh crap, I've already missed my third one. Codependency is transactional, conditional, and what's the other thing I said? I'm very tired today. I don't know. It'll come back. So the way that those things show up is saying one thing and doing another. I love you. Please go upstairs and clean your room. I love you, but you're driving me nuts. When mom is mad, it feels like mom doesn't love me. That is conditional. That is behaviors that say one thing, but words are saying another. Transactional is strings attached. That was the third thing. Transactional is the more valuable you are to me, the more I'm going to love you. That feels yucky to say it out loud. Strings attached is when I do something for you, I expect something back. Like for me to be able to control you. This shows up a lot in parent-child relationships with money. Just because I'm paying for something, I think I have a right to know what's happening if I'm mom. When we think about love and we're creating this discrepancy between nurture, guide, and protect, what's left that you're aware of? Outside of nurturing, guiding, and protecting, What's left in that dynamic between parent and child that encompasses love? For me, what that looks like is permission. Like, no matter what I do, the fact that my mom loves me is never going to be wavering. It's just permission to be. For me, what is left is I am desired and I have worth. So there's nothing I can do that can make my mom not love me. That's what it means to me, that permission to be. And I think at times for me, I don't know if other moms and dads feel this way. I did not have a sense of love until I had my own kids. I didn't have anything to compare it to because all I had was my parent-child relationship. And please hear me say I had my animals and I had relationships and my sisters that very much stepped into the role of parenting for my mom. But I don't believe that for me, for Amber, I didn't really understand love until I had my boys. Because with my husband, well, there are things I can think of that would make us not love each other. And it's a job and I have to work at it really hard. But I also have to work at mothering really hard. It is a full-time job. And looking at how I show up in that relationship and what it feels like and feeling on a cellular level, yeah, there's really nothing my kid could do that would ever make me not love him. Not loving him does not mean that there aren't behaviors that can cause me to create a degree of separation, but that doesn't mean I love him any less. And I'm going to throw a parenthesis in here. I talk a lot about the relationship between me and me. And I know part of self-care and self-love for me is I got to eat broccoli and drink water. I know. But those are really hard things for me. Not literally broccoli, but just healthy food. Part of me loving my boys is making sure that they are getting the things that they need as a human. That is nurture and that is guiding, but love is also, buddy, I love you even if you're yelling at me because I told you you couldn't have the third bag of Doritos. Like, it is the awareness that I can stay connected to him, even though some of the things he's saying for that third bag of Doritos feels a little out there. Love is recognizing where the boundaries are. And part of my role as mom when it comes to love for my boys looks like making sure that they're not going to come in harm's way. Again, protection. So when my loving parent shows up, the reason that I spend so much time talking about what my boys have taught me is because I think they teach me. The things I do for them becomes the things I do for me. That is not what my childhood looked like. That form of love is not what I received from my biological earthly parents as a child. So as my own loving parent, a lot of what it looks like that I do for me is similar to what I've learned how to do for my boys. The space that I give them, the permission that I give them. I don't expect them to do shit right all the time. I sure as hell don't expect like straight A's and shit like that. I mean, it's great if they're excited about that, but I don't expect that. And so how does that translate to me as a recovering perfectionist? The way that translates to me is if I want them to receive that message, I have to walk it in integrity. I can't say it and then practice it differently, because then I'm just doing to me what was done to me. My parents said one thing and did another. So what love from a loving parent looks like to me oftentimes requires accountability outside of me. I say frequently, I am very, very gifted and fortunate to have a circle of people around me that at times love me better than I love me because they teach me how. And sometimes they call me on my shit, like, no, Am, that's not okay. Rarely does that involve another person. Most of the time, it is something I'm doing to me. And I need that accountability and I need that support, because sometimes it's not a conscious thing. It's not intentional. It's unintentional, but yet it's still something I'm doing to myself. Like when I talk down about myself, or when I'm the butt of a joke. There's nothing loving about that. So as I stumbled through this, I'm hoping that I'm not the only one that it's like, wow, what is love? What isn't it? It's not holding something over someone's head. It's not loving them more because they're more valuable. It's not giving them something with strings attached so I can control them. And it's not conditional. Love is this constant static frequency that enhances for my boys and enhances the more trust I build with my husband. But there is a difference in that frequency in different relationships. The love I have for my husband is not the same love I have for my boys. The love I have for Coop is not the same love I have for Finn. So I think in just considering and thinking about loving parent, the validation behind, well, maybe this is why it's so fucking hard. Because it's not always that obvious how to do it and what to do. Sometimes I know what to do, I just don't have the how. So for me, I use my boys as a model. What do I do for them and how can I do that for me? Sometimes I have to work backwards, but I usually can make a full circle. I've done a series before. It's probably been over a year since I did this one too, but developing the discrepancies between love and codependency, and being able to look at the role of loving parent, specifically love, which is one of the four: nurture, protect, guide, and love. The tool that I want to offer you, and I don't usually give a tool that is a little bit of homework, but I do want to like invite you to do a little homework with this tool, because when I referenced earlier, there's not what each person needs and wants is different, and that is the right to be. The way I love Finn is not the way Cooper needs to be loved, and vice versa. So the opportunity to look at what is showing up in your world today that your loving parent can show you the opportunity to be. How can you remove some of the rigidity or the control that you place on self? I know it might, you you may be able to point it out easier in some external relationships, but please remember, anything that's showing up in an external relationship for me can only happen because it's happening in an internal relationship. If I am being critical of another person, it's because I'm also critical of that in me. It it happens in me first before it can show up externally. So when you think of how loving parent can show up for you, notice where the wound is. For me, it shows up a lot when I feel like I'm too much or not enough. I didn't do enough for that person, or I didn't do enough there. I should have done more. Or it shows up when I feel like I'm too much. And with that wound, it speaks to the right to be, those child rights that some of us either never received or were neglected. There's 8 of those. If you've not been to a workshop, that's what I'm referencing. So the right to be seen and heard. If you notice, I'm going to speak in the I in hopes that it gives you an example. I notice that I can go all day without eating. That's not okay. It's not okay. And what makes it really not okay in my world, and why I have that discernment, is I know that for my body, I really need to be eating protein and moving within 30 minutes of waking up to help my mental health and wellness. For me personally, that's what I need. So when I get up and I go 8, 10, 12 hours and I haven't eaten, that's not loving. In fact, it's not seeing me or hearing me or any part of me because hunger cues are being ignored, physical sensations are being ignored, probably getting to the point of a headache and nausea. That's just an example of how can I be loving to me is scheduling or creating some structure around my day so that I can't go more than an hour, hour and a half without not eating something. Because I can guarantee you, my boys are 10 and 8 and have never gone longer than an hour of being up without eating. I'm on it. And what would it be like for me to do that for me? And we all have our own nuances, right? I I don't like to eat when I first wake up, but that doesn't mean I couldn't do a protein shake, right? Like just figuring out the little ways of how do I find the gray so this works for me? So I get the opportunity to be. It is very much recognizing where is my wound and how can I show up differently for me? A different way or another way you can look at that, if you haven't done core wounds yet, is use Maslow's hierarchy. Where do you neglect yourself? Are you resting? Are you sleeping? Are you noticing areas where you need or want more? That self-esteem component, like where are you getting to stretch yourself and challenge yourself and learn? Or love and belonging. Where are you allowing yourself to feel supported or be supportable? So Maslow's hierarchy or the core wounds can lead you to how can my loving parent love me better, which is me and me, right? Yeah, sorry, I made notes because I wanted to be specific with some of those examples. Loving parent is about creating permission. It's about creating opportunity. It's about not doing to me what was done to me. And while we are not trying to be polar opposites, I got no problem going to bat for there is no such thing as loving someone too much. There is a such thing as enabling someone too much, which is called codependency. But when it comes to love, it's not possible. So figuring out how can I do more of that for me? Because as many of you shared really, really beautifully, when I am full, when I am loving me, it shows up everywhere I want it to. I'm easier on myself as a mom. I'm easier on myself as a wife. That's the first thing I notice is what I did wrong or the criticism that shows up. As soon as I stopped talking tonight, as soon as I stopped talking before the first share, I immediately thought, Oh my God, that sounded ridiculous. Nobody made any sense of what you just said, Amber. It was instantaneous. And what I received, because I allowed myself to be supportable, was almost each of you, every single one of your shares validated everything that I said. Yeah, this is hard. Yeah, how do we sum this up? Yeah, I don't know how to use words with it. Like, every person supported the fact that it was messy. So by staying in it and giving myself permission to just trust it, just listen, I allowed each one of your shares to support me and my story. And that's what we do. That's the whole point of community, whether it's through 12-step or through any avenue that we get there, right? So I really, really appreciate the opportunity to speak into this tonight and to not have to do it perfectly. And as someone else mentioned, their age of recovery, I say frequently, I have 20 years of recovery, and I'm like, shit, I'm still here. Like, it's not changing me. And as a mom, I'm only 10 and I'm only 8. It really helps me right-size that perfectionism. That's how my loving parent shows up. She says, Am, you're not supposed to know it all. Am, you're a guide. You're not a dictionary. So how I speak to myself is how my loving parent shows up. I hope this was helpful